I'm on a date tonight, so I'll have to just look good. No, I'll just do it in front of her. She knows it.
Going! He's kept going! He's scored! Oh, Stockport pressure.
It's a 5-star performance from Stockport County.
All right, we got a small house, but we got a big bloody heart, I tell you.
Hello and welcome to the third. I'm right next to the mic because I've got a terribly sore throat. I think I'm dying. Yes, this is SKP TV. It's the 30th episode of SKP TV, the podcast that's giving you all manner of fun county chat. And it's not even sexy, this, is it? It's moved from sexy to genuinely ill. But luckily, I've got Hannah with me. Hello, Hannah.
Hello. I'm scared to talk at normal volume because otherwise people will be adjusting their settings because it'll go like loud and quiet, especially if you're doing that whole stereo thing.
Well, should I just pretend it's like ASMR or something? I don't
know, that might be more disturbing. At least there's only nice things to talk about and it's a calm and soothing podcast. No? Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what? We should have brought back the signs. The Love Actually boards.
Yeah, that's all we can ask for. I think it's nice and calm. I'll just hold the microphone right here. Yeah, I'll start to dig them out. I think because I'm genuinely dying. I didn't even go to polish yesterday. It's not even like I was shouting all day. But Christ Almighty, I'm not in a good way. Yes. We'll do a bit of admin before we. Oh my God, it's actually going here. I might not make it all.
Oh my God, this is going to be the 3rd out of 4 where I just kind of sit happily and talk to myself.
Normally, because I stand on wires that I don't make it all the way through, but I'm
Doesn't sound good. And I know that I also said that I was going to be
sponsored by Blackbird Brewhouse and Kitchen.
Oh, this is going to be excellent podcast because, Jonathan's turning up soon. So Jonathan will be able to, we can talk between us. That's fine. But yeah, your internet's playing up again, Nick. It's fine. You can give me prompts in the private chat. I can chat to the people watching. John, I honestly don't know. John asked, is the throat or the Wi-Fi going first? I wasn't sure when we started which was which. So who knows? But
I don't even know what the problem is.
Well, we can fill in with Hannah's transfer news, which unfortunately features a considerable amount of League 2 action. Can't really comment on League 1. Haven't built up the right connections yet, which is good and bad in equal measures because I don't care. The shithousery that goes on with League 2 transfers and people going to Carlisle, I don't care. I'm not invested in it in the same way as I am with League 1 transfers. So it's probably for the best. And I don't get emotionally attached to people anymore. That's not what happens. So
anyone.
Yeah, we're good. I'm quite looking forward though to what are we now? 13 days in. Charlie said, didn't he, a couple of weeks ago that there would be nothing before Palace, but that we needed people in by Reading. And I think he said yesterday that we're not expecting to have any of the ones that were out this weekend. We're not expecting to have any of them back for Saturday. So you know what to do if you play Fan Hub, kids. Although, do you remove Cup goalkeeper Corey Adai and reinstate non-Cup goalkeeper Ben Hinchliffe?
Yes, I shall. That's exactly what I shall be doing.
Is that what you're going to do?
Straight away. Yeah.
It was so funny. We were doing Fan Hub in the car. So I gave Will a lift. So about 10 minutes in, after the conversation about which motorway services was our favourite, which kept us entertained, we then talked about Fan Hub, and I was like, well, it doesn't matter, does it? Because no one's getting 11 out of 11. It'll all be fine. It doesn't matter what I put in. I got 11 out of 11. Like a third of a sausage roll. Get in.
And then every time I get 9 out of 11, I see 9/11 on my screen, and obviously I'm not mature enough to handle that, so I have a bit of a 9/11.
No.
Yeah, that's my day. That and dying.
Oh, Aidan's keeping a dying. I don't know. What someone said about Andy Cook. Yeah, I do get invested in that.
The man himself is here though.
He's come to save us all.
A man
I'm
who's
here.
had more cup action than anyone.
I have. Was a bit scary at St James's Park for about
It's all just me problems. Don't worry
25 minutes yesterday. I'm glad to be here, everybody. Thank you for accommodating my necessity to go to my exercise class before I got here.
Oh, is that what you did? What kind of exercise?
In order to preserve me mental equilibrium. Tai Chi, actually.
Nice.
The sort of thing we do out here in SK2 stroke SK7.
Huh?
You know. It's all very martial. Yeah. I could if I get mugged, I can supposedly use the assailant's weight against themselves and just make them fall over without kind of touching them hardly. That's the idea.
You see, that would fill in. That would work well for a professional footballer. I feel, when they feel like they've not even been touched. That they're obviously Tai Chi masters.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going on. Yes, it's all very slow motion. That's what I like about it. It's exercise class is probably a bit of a misnomer for Tai Chi. It's extraordinarily slow moving action, which strangely manages to kind of use your muscles at the same time. So there you go. Yeah.
Your Frankie went to Palace yesterday, didn't he?
Frankie went to Palace.
I enjoyed the bus updates.
Yeah, I was giving you guys bus updates. Well, my Frankie, who, if anybody who doesn't know, is my 20-year-old son. So obviously he's 20, but still he's our son, so we're still worried about him when he goes on cross-border journeys. And he's living in France at the minute, so like in a year out from his studies. Oh, Nick's away. He'll be back in a minute.
Oh, it's all right. You've missed. So Nick, right? Just to recap, and for anyone joining late, Nick is simultaneously afflicted with a very throaty voice and shit internet again.
Oh, okay.
So we kind of struggled on through. I was about to deliver my monologue about Saturday, and then you arrived. So there you go.
Okay. Well, hopefully be back. And he's in good company anyway with a throaty voice, because I heard the manager's interview, by the way. We'll probably get onto that, won't we? It doesn't sound too well, but anyway. No. So yeah, Frankie's living in France, having a year out, and you missed nothing, Nick. And when the draw was made for the third round, he texted me, from his staff room in where he's working in a school, and said, "I'm just looking at trains to London now for January the 11th." I was like, "Oh, okay, right, fair enough." So yeah, he got to the game via Eurostar hostel bus and back again to France via Belgium on an overnight coach, and got back this morning to his abode. So he's had quite a little adventure. Was he
pleased he made the trip?
Do you know what? I've not directly asked him that question.
Yeah.
But from the communication I've had with him, absolutely. And I was sent, and if my friend Joe's listening, I'll thank Joe for this, because I didn't hear from Frank during the game. I was like, oh, hope we got there. And then, like, just after the final whistle, I got a WhatsApp picture from my friend Joe, county fan Joe, with basically a picture of him and Frank. So my mate had found Frank and 3,500 county fans, and then he was beaming from ear to ear. That was at the final whistle. So I'm thinking he enjoyed it. And I mean, look, I don't know, I wasn't there, but it has felt to me like an enjoyable occasion for the county nation, despite the result.
It was the funny one in that I can't remember whether it was Nick that I said it to earlier. Like, it was possibly, and the aftermath as well, like one of the most enjoyable defeats that I've kind of participated in. Because normally when we lose, social media is somewhat unpleasant, and there's that kind of general apathy that you've got 4 hours to drive home and you have trauma McDonald's and it's just not fun. But actually, I spent the journey home messing about on social media, but reading comments from predominantly Crystal Palace fans saying, how brilliant the county fans were, and what the atmosphere was like, and all the nice things that maybe they don't have to say, and maybe they're not entirely genuine, but about being the best set of fans that they've had in years, and that we played better than some of the Premier League teams. And like I say, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. There's no benefit. They're not gonna. It's not for any reason, but it's always appreciated when people say nice things, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And
after, it's a brag of again, and yeah, I guess it's like it's rare enough that happens, isn't it? That you can come away from a defeat with that feeling. So it's like when it does, it's kind of notable, isn't it? I almost feel like I kind of had a little bit of a soft spot for Crystal Palace beforehand, but I might decide to have one, because I don't know about you, Hannah, but I feel like we all should have a London club as a little soft spot. You know what I mean?
No.
And no, you don't feel that at all. Oh, fair enough.
No, absolutely not.
Not even slightly. Not even a slight inkling. Do you not, despite yourself, maybe find yourself having the occasional hankering for, say, Leighton Orient?
No. I mean, obviously, I do have my slightly what should we call it, dysfunctional relationship with Salford. So they kind of fulfill that secret shame in terms of...
all right. In terms of the soft spot, or whatever you might want to call it.
Yeah. And actually, like, after that first goal went in on Sunday, after we'd not touched the ball, and I went to Salford City on Saturday night, which, I'm not that invested in them. I wasn't emotionally destroyed by an 8-0 defeat, but I sat there thinking, oh my god, is this going to be 2 days in a row? Is this what's going to happen?
I mean, absolutely. And the second time as in county would have been emotionally overwhelming, wouldn't it? I mean, I think some people know, certainly people on the yellow board, for example, know. I didn't go as far as Selhurst Park, because Frankie was representing us, and I didn't get as far as any streaming action either. Because until the morning of the match, I was blindly of the opinion that I was just going to turn my telly on and the match was there. And then I found that it wasn't. So I was like, oh, okay. And then, I think, Hannah, and somebody might correct me and correct us in the comments. Since everybody seems to have watched the match, whether they were there or not, I wonder whether I'm the actual only county fan who listened to the commentary on BBC Sounds. I literally don't know anybody else who did. So
right. So what did the commentating team take away from it?
Oh well, Hannah, have you got 45 minutes?
I do actually, Jonathan.
This is pretty much what I've got. You know what I mean? So yeah, I wasn't at the game visually, but I was listening very intently. Not least because I was like, well, I'm coming on SK3 TV Monday night, so anyway, I was listening very intently, and I actually listened to the first advantages of listening on the video. The first 10 minutes of the game, including the bit where we conceded after 4 minutes, I was in the Jolly Sailor public house in
Nice.
Woodsburg, Davenport, because I tend to walk down there sometimes, and having a non-alcoholic Guinness, Hannah, and listening
I'm
to
on the. I highly recommend anyone who's doing Dry January.
Saints.
Lucky Saints is very good.
You can't go wrong with Lucky Saint and or 0% Guinness and the Jolly Sailor, right? So I was sitting there with my headphones on, watching people getting their coffee. And so, yeah, the commentary, I guess the first thing to say about it was I think one of the regular guys, because obviously there's matches everywhere, was Conor McNamara, who I think is the guy who commentates on a lot of games. And it was Steve Sidwell, who was a player, wasn't he? Who I think was an ex-Palace player. Certainly he was.
Yeah.
Saying that he was. I would say approximately a couple of things about the commentary, just generally. The first was that it was generally good, like as in you could listen and like you can with our fantastic John Kieran, you knew who had the ball, you knew what the ball was, you weren't having to guess, they kept the kind of incidental chat down to a minimum and were good at describing what was going on. And that's the first thing. The second thing that I'd say is that they blotted their copybook with a couple of enormous clangers. So I don't know whether. So the couple of enormous clangers, I guess one bigger than the other, really. But yeah, because I would think, look, I know they do a lot of matches, but if I'm Conor McNamara, I'm going to talk to Sam Byrne. Surely I'm going to talk to Sam Byrne. I'm going to say, who are Stockport County's players? How do you pronounce their names? That would be the first.
You get when I've done comp at Salford, you get like a team sheet, and some clubs actually give you the phonetic pronunciation of them as well.
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
But again, it's it's basic prep.
But you know what? Even if you didn't get that right, and I'm going to guess a professional person as you are, you would probably think, well, I'm not sure how to pronounce that name, OLAOFE, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I wonder if the Stockport Express journalist can help, that kind of thing. Yeah. So anyway, the first thing was that, so despite their general excellence, we've got a player called Kyle Noel.
Oh!
Yeah, only on first reference. On first reference, he was Kyle Noel. He was Kyle Noel.
Then, how did you get from Wootton to Noel?
Well, fair enough, right? I think he meant the defender. So Kyle Noel. So actually, I think it was, and I would have to listen back to be sure, but definitely Kyle Noel. And then I think he realized he got it wrong, but he wasn't sure what was right. So the second time it was like Kyle Noel. He was like pitching his best, basically. And then I think somebody must have had a word in his ear. So then he became Kyle Noel. But Kyle Noel, and this was the bit which I thought, well, observation, guys. Because obviously they both play right wing back, don't they? Or can do. Anyway, according to the commentary, Kyle Noel played right wing back the whole match, which I'm pretty sure he didn't. I'm pretty sure NSH played right wing back, right? So that was that. And he kept kind of saying the right wing back, Kyle Noel. But then the better one, in terms of actually the worst one, was now this will astonish you, I think, because actually I'll just check with you, Hannah, because I might have missed something. The forward, Michael Mellon. I mean, he doesn't play for us anymore, does he?
No, he's been recalled by his parent club and has gone to Bradford, I think.
Well, I thought that's what I thought.
Right.
So then we're into 10 minutes left, and we'll make some substitutions. And Kyle Wooden, who thankfully he was called Kyle Wooden, got replaced, didn't he? Do you know who he got replaced by, according to the commentary on BBC?
I have heard, but I won't spoil the end of this story.
It wasn't the ex-Burnley striker Michael Mellon, and he was like, he just stated, he was like, so Wooden's gone off, and here comes Michael Mellon, the one from Burnley striker. And I was thinking, when you're thinking, well, this is the BBC, I'm sure that they haven't got it wrong, but I'm also kind of fairly sure that he doesn't play for us anymore. So he obviously didn't correct himself. And then, if I was Michael Mellon, Hannah, I would be, and for all that, I'm a great defender of the corporation. You know what I mean? If I was Michael Mellon, I would be speaking to my lawyers about a possible libel action because he got thoroughly critiqued. He was only on the pitch for 10 minutes, but according to the BBC commentary, he failed to hold the ball up on several occasions, and and could have made a little bit more of an impact. And I'm thinking, the guy's sitting in his living room in Todmorden here. Of course, he's got to make an impact. I mean, he's not there. So it was marvelous. And Yeah. So, I did just think to myself today. I thought, I wonder if, and if so, at what point Conor McNamara has been appraised of his error. I was wondering if he saw the Icelandic clap afterwards in the ground. I thought, I wonder why Michael Mellon is doing an Icelandic clap and why all the fans have responded.
Maybe he saw Benoni Brecky Andresen on the team sheet. It was like, no.
I'll just go Michael Mellon. It's a lot easier. I've used this word in the fruit and veg aisle on plenty of occasions. I'm sure I can use it in the line of duty. So that was apart from those two glaring errors. And I guess the other thing I would say is, which did make me think I wonder how much you can rely on what you hear when you listen to.
This is what I was going to ask you. Like, in terms of it, it's quite rare because obviously with County's commentary, like whenever I watch, it's unless there's a problem with it, and I understand there was a problem with it again on Sunday. If you're watching it through illegally procured means, you can watch the other club's commentary, listen to the other club's commentary. Yeah, so I do quite enjoy that sometimes because, there is a level of bias introduced with your own commentary team. So I was kind of interested to know with an independent BBC Manchester team, what their kind of take was on Stockport. Well, on the outcome, really.
No, so it was national radio, by the way. It was Radio 5 Live Extra, so it was like completely national.
Okay.
Yeah. So it makes it even more kind of, I guess, an objective view, or meant to be. Well, I would say that they were pretty complimentary about County, is what I would say. As in what they recognised was that we were 2 divisions below. We weren't about to go, to use Challoner's phrase in the interview afterwards, toe-to-toe with this team. What we would need to do was, set ourselves up to be, kind of resolute in defence, and then do what we could when we got the chance. So they kind of, that's the game that was described, and when we made the 2 or 3 chances that we did make, the kind of gave credit for, that's this team playing the game plan and actually giving Palace a little bit of trouble. They picked out Tando for his pace. I mean, okay, they called him Isaac. No, he is called Isaac, but again, so they picked out Amazon for his pace. They picked out Kyle up front for his physical presence. They were very complimentary of Norwood, Hannah, which I'd be interested to know what that looked like in the stadium, because I'll tell you why they were complimentary about Norwood. At least what might have influenced them, because basically he's a mate of Steve Sidwell. So when Norwood wasn't able to come on, Steve Sidwell was like, so I've played with this guy before. He's like a quarterback. He's a heat-seeking missile with the passes. And then when he played a couple of balls forward, they were like, here we go. And with the County are now kind of making some inroads, but I don't know how it looked in the ground. Because I've been a bit hot and cold sometimes.
He wasn't terrible. I don't think he was particularly kind of creative in midfield. He made some decent kind of attempts at creating space on the wing for them to move into. But I wouldn't say definitely. I mean, the challenge for yesterday was that we had a load of half chances that we didn't capitalize on. In a game like that, you've got to, if you can, and I recognize, levels and all of that, but you've got to take those chances, and we just weren't able to finish. I think the 1-0 was I mean, we said afterwards we didn't concede for 90 minutes. If you take off the first few, like a warm-up, we held our own very well. The substitutions were interesting. Tanto was very good. He needed to be substituted. He was cramping up. He looked shattered and was utterly exhausted. Wootton going off felt a bit less cut and dry, and maybe
I was interested in that, as in that just felt to me like, I think my view, I think I'm on record to say I don't think that guy should ever be taken off the football pitch, because I don't care how knackered he is. He's like a warhorse, and he's not Tanto's style of player. That's going to be, you're not asking him to chase the ball 30-40 yards. He's holding up the play. He's going to win as many as he doesn't win, regardless of how tired he is. His head's not going to go down. I would have thought if you're the Crystal Palace defenders and he gets taken off for either Michael Mellon or an Icelandic debutant, you're going to think, well, fine, that's nice. By the way, with no disrespect to the Icelandic debutant, that surprised me at the time. That surprised me.
Yeah, at the same time, though, it kind of felt like, I don't know how many substitutions there were in total, but it felt like either bring on fresh legs and hope that we've kind of tied them out a little bit and they don't do the same, or just throw everything at it, because why not? Benno apparently
let's have Benno. What was the view on Benno? What did you make of him in a brief outing against high opposition, right?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't on for long enough to kind of have an opinion. I think his first touch was terrible, but he didn't back off, and he chased it and followed up, and that's all you can ask for. It was
10 minutes when you're being brought down against top opposition like that. It's just, I guess that even if he was a more kind of seasoned player, kind of maybe what you want from your centre forward replacement at that time is just kind of put yourself about, make a bit of a nuisance of yourself. So if he's done that, right?
And you saw that, you'd see him kind of, Norwood's passing it out to the wing, and then you'd see him kind of on the edge of the box. He was doing the right things. He was getting into the right position. So it'll be interesting to see, as there are incoming players, presumably over the next 2 weeks, as it is, how much of him we see. Because I felt like, everyone kind of knew that yesterday was very much a free hit, and yes, it would be great to get something out of it, but you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater in terms of tiring people out. Jack Diamond was good when he came on.
That's good to know, because he didn't get a mention on the commentary, even though it was the title. Did he make some inroads? Did he give us a little bit of this, a little bit
again, like pace and space?
Okay,
he just I guess widening the where the game was being played. And just finding the gaps, but Charlie made it was the triple substitution, and it was Jack Diamond, I think Mingy. So Mingy came on, didn't really do a great deal at all, and I was just kind of waiting for him to get injured, which is terrible to say. But it was Jack Diamond, Mingy, and someone else came on at the same time.
That wasn't when our Becky came on at that time, was it?
No, that was towards the end.
That was Norwood who came on. And it was Rydell. Rydell came on, didn't he?
Who? Sorry,
Rydell.
Yeah, that was it. It was that set of substitutions. Cal Camps was brilliant. Ethan Pye was bothersome. Ethan Pye's agent was on TV singing his praises on Saturday.
I don't like that. I don't like that one little bit. He was.
Oh no!
Ask again from your iPhone.
No, thank you. So yeah, Ethan Pye's agent was going on about how he's a rare talent and a left-footed centre back and all of this. Like no.
Yeah, if there's any Premiership scouts listening, he's got weaknesses that you're not seeing. You know what I mean? No, it's. I mean, great, isn't it? That we've got such a promising player. When Rydell came on, because that was the other interesting substitution. Well, I noticed when Rydell came on straight away. I think we got a free kick and Rydell put into the box. Would there been a case for bringing Rydell on a bit earlier, or actually had Toure done a decent job? Because it felt to me like Toure was getting forward. He definitely put the cross in for Wooten's header, didn't he? That went just over. I sometimes feel Ibu gets a little bit overly criticised for his work going forward. I don't think it's as like you know, kind of vanilla as as it's made out to be sometimes at all.
And in the past, when he's given the opportunity to play further forward, he really does create space. Kyle Noyle is another one. Like quite often at home, because we're pop side, he has so much space and he's rarely marked. And again, I don't know whether he's almost there as a decoy. Like when he first came from Donny, I remember being like, he's open, and he just doesn't seem to be part of that that forward push. But yeah, it's I think they were. Do you know what? There were some okay performances. There were some brilliant performances, and I think there were more brilliant performances than there were.
It's one of those games where you can't pick out one as being significantly under par, right? And you know, even from what we hear, Odin Bailey, who makes I mean, he could have maybe done better for the first goal, but his head doesn't go down, the team's head doesn't go down. That's probably what pleases me most overall. That that unlike say Salford, and I know they're playing City, but you know, like. We'll go 4 minutes down. I was having a jolly sail. I was thinking this is going to be a long afternoon. I might need to stay in the jolly sail and switch up from the 0%, because you go down after 4 minutes, 1-0 to a Premiership team.
Yeah, and I think
differently, couldn't it?
I do not sit firmly in the Corey or Ben camps. I am goalkeeper agnostic. I think
there's not many of.
I know. I think it's just I think it's the benefits of a business degree. I'm quite kind of clinical and evidence based. But I mean Corey didn't have a great deal to do. That initial goal was probably 90-odd% Odin Bailey.
Since we've alighted on the subject, and I almost hesitate to go there since it's such a volatile subject among the fan base. Do we think that Corey could have got nearer to it, or is that too harsh? It's been said.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I thought that Bailey had cleared it, and maybe he was just slightly a beat behind as a result of that. But
okay. Well, Joe Inglesfield, who I referenced earlier, is basically agreeing with you and saying no chance, mate, in the chat. No chance.
Goalkeeper agnostic.
And also goalkeeper agnostic. Yeah, I do think that, and I say this about myself, because there's a debate around the goalkeepers, and I do feel that I find myself watching goals we concede from the goalkeeping perspective even more closely than I would. So I watched that one, and I think, was he a bit too far to one side? Could he let more? Could his arm have been out more? I think there's an argument for all those things, but maybe I'm just saying things that because I'm looking so closely. What I would say is, I don't think Ben would have. I don't think any goalkeeper is about to stop that. Maybe a really, really top class goalkeeper, because he just held it right in the corner, doesn't he?
I agree. What he looked more confident yesterday, and there were some really nice clearances from the defenders just in front of him. The ones that you would normally expect to see like on the goal line almost. But his clean catches. There was none of the. I've said this often about Corey Adai. I've been kind of watching him for years, and for entertainment value as much as anything. And that sounds awful, and it doesn't. I don't mean that to take the piss out of him. Just that he's incredibly fluky sometimes, and just some of the risk taking, and it sometimes it doesn't pay off. But we've seen it. There was a save at Edgeley Park that was almost seemed accidental. I think it came like he kind of turned and it came off his backside. That he gets away with some
He
incredible.
makes a lot of. I mean, if you can't be technically excellent, be lucky, right? I mean, because actually the other. Again, on the BBC commentary, the save later on was just kind of described as what an excellent save. I'm not going to say it wasn't an excellent save. I do think that it was a little bit fluky because the ball hits him on the backside, doesn't it? And then he's like, "Where's the ball? Where's the ball? Where's the ball?" And then the guy puts it in the side net. So, but look, he's getting in the way of it, and look, that's what.
And
Peter
there was
Schmeichel
no like head in hands moment, like what are you doing?
Okay.
So
well, he'll grow from it. He'll grow from it, won't he? And certainly people in the comments, John Billsby saying he could have the suicidal close pass.
Yes.
For instance. All right.
And then there was that open shot and like how the Palace player missed it is absolutely.
Oh, when he puts him down the floor. Yeah, okay. But you know what? That's like. That felt like poetic justice. That because 2-0 just has a different feel to it than 1.
Yeah, it does. And I
the
think
game until the last minute,
Yeah, I think the result was fair, and and Charlie said afterwards that we didn't carry on and we'll move on to Reading in a minute. We didn't carry on the kind of confidence after the Birmingham game. We need to carry on the kind of the work ethic and the approach from yesterday into next week. Well, this week, I guess.
You heard him say that like we didn't after Birmingham. Yeah. Okay. Just before we go on to Reading, Hannah, can I just ask you? I mean, what was the away end like? What was it like? Like, obviously, you go to away ends all the time. Was it one of the kind of top 3? Was it kind of, did it give us that tingle in there?
It was interesting because. It was very tightly packed. It was full standing. And I am not one to complain about that, but little Charlotte didn't stand a chance. Couldn't see at all. There was a screen kind of above the home end. Well, they had either side, but because it was at an angle, it made it really tricky to see. The stewarding wasn't great from a kind of safety point of view. I had a bit of a panic attack, and I can't remember the last time I had one at football, but it was largely down to kind of it's quite a low ceiling, and they talked at the beginning. There were loads of pictures of the restricted view seats because the overhang is so much that if you're at the back of the stand, it was like kind of blocked off. So I don't know. I think it was it was part of that, like all sorts of things. But in terms of atmosphere, it was brilliant. Like the singing, we've got the new drum. Will and I have differing opinions on the drum. I thought it sounded like Will's much more kind of creative minded than me and was like, oh, don't know about the tone. But the drum sounded great. The crowd, as far as an away day, if I hadn't had this kind of visceral reaction to it, then I think it probably would have been one of the better away ends. It felt like Blackpool, when kind of everyone's in it together. And I think we didn't like, despite being 1-0 down from the outset, that didn't dampen the atmosphere. There was you get that with free hit games, don't you? That no one's really expecting anything from it.
No, that's I just enjoyed hearing because that's all you could hear. Was just hearing our fans, saying, "Oh, I can hear. He's wide. He plays wide on the right hand side."
Yeah, I'm not surprised because there was very little noise, and it's really interesting. So it was similar to Edgeley Park. So where I am in the pop side, sometimes the Cheadle end can sound really, really quiet, but people in the Cheadle end will be saying, "Oh, we didn't hear the away fans at all," and I'm like, well, "No, they were like actually decent." I think it's acoustics, and it's the same there. So there were Crystal Palace fans in the I don't know the names of the stands. the left hand side, the one to our left, who was
Okay.
saying, oh, I didn't think that they made that much noise and were really
Okay.
quiet, and the ones immediately adjacent to us like, no, it was brilliant,
Okay.
best set of fans we've had. So no, I think if it's an away game, isn't it? Like, people stand up. I've got no issue with that whatsoever.
It's more just a shame that that's just the way it is at away games, isn't it? It's like, I always think away games, if you could arrange it so, I don't know, so everybody could sit where they wanted, then everybody would probably sort themselves out. But you get that mixture, don't you, between some people decide that they need to be in their actual seats, and then people are standing up in front of other people.
It's not helped by varying traffic conditions. We only got there kind of hard. I think if I'd have been in my seat earlier, and I normally am to help kind of avoid this, I would have been fine. But it wasn't.
Oh well, listen,
it wasn't great, but
it sounds like a day for the ages, all of the same. Shall we talk about Reading? Or shall we talk about Warrington, Hannah? Because I only learned from Dave Chandler's interview that we've got a game tomorrow night.
So on the group chat, I said earlier on, is anyone going to Warrington? Still don't think anyone's replied.
I think that if you go, you'll get a game. It feels like
it's expensive though, given that it's Warrington Town on a Tuesday night in the Cheshire Senior Cup. It's 13 or 15 quid, I think.
Get away! It was like it was like £10 2 days ago to watch international footballers. So I'm not having that. Matthew Vady in the chat says he's going to Warrington. So that's Matthew, isn't it? Oh, Matthew will get a game. All right. Well, that's Warrington then. Okay, we're going to field the kids, aren't we? That's what I heard Challenger.
But I assume it'll be a mix of, that second string team that we experienced with the BDSM trophy, and I expect it to be a version of that with kind of academy players. Or we might have Garnder. That's the new
Garnder, as he was
striker on the subs bench. Yeah.
Was it County that spelled his name wrong?
Yeah, that was County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's surprising.
Yeah. I know, right?
Yeah. And yes, so we're playing Reading on the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, it's not long. It doesn't feel like long since we played them. I know that we're in the second half of the season and everything, but did we beat Reading by about 4? No.
What's happening as Reading?
4-1 it was.
4-1, yeah.
Yeah, it was the end of October.
Yeah, okay. I did some research, Hannah. I found out. Yeah, I know. I mean, well, what about this? I did some research. I looked at Wikipedia. I guess you knew this already because you're on top of things. They've got a relatively new manager, is what my research told me, which is always something, isn't it? When you come up against a team. I'm writing that on there. You're looking like maybe I've got that wrong.
No, I was just like.
I think it's been there since like December.
No, it's an interesting. Reading's an interesting one. So they've got Noel Hunton.
That's the guy.
And they're for probably. I'm trying to think when we did the Die. What was it? What's the campaign called? The Reading fans have got a campaign to get rid of the chairman, and it's called I can't remember, Die, some pun on Die, and it feels like every manager, similarly to Morecambe, every manager is kind of teased with this, like the takeover's coming, the takeover's coming. Sell before we die. Thank you, Mike.
That's good.
And the whole, they've had tennis ball, they have protests, they throw tennis balls on the pitch, they've done an awful lot, and Reading are a club that have kind of survived through various transfer embargoes and really not had an easy time of it, but they are on a much better run than they were when we played them in October. So they sit literally just above us in the table. They are, I think we would, let me just check to confirm this. So we would go ahead of them if we beat them.
It's 3 points.
Unless there's a whole there'll be a whole goal difference thing. We're at the moment +10 and they're +6. So
they're just ahead of them.
It'd have to be like a 4th. No, it wouldn't. Just
it's a 6-pointer. As Ian Dowden says in the chat, it's a 6-pointer. I should normally, if Nick was here, would be selecting these comments and putting them on the screen, wouldn't we? But I don't know
that.
Can you? When you get Ian Dowden 6-pointer, get in. I'll go. It's a 6-pointer, but we won't overtake them.
But they're also on a good run of form. So we are not. I think for the first time,
they lost a couple, and then they've won 3 and drawn 1 of the last.
So they're across the last 6 games. They're 8th. They've not lost since they lost Lincoln and Blackpool in recent memory. They beat Mansfield. They beat Cambridge. They drew with Charlton last weekend. Whereas so they're 8th in the form table over the last 6 games, whereas we are 17th, I think.
Is that right? It's kind of. It's 17th.
Kind of. So we've got 5 points from the last 6, and they've got 10. So, I don't know. I think given the scoreline, the previous scoreline, they will definitely be out for blood because it's a damage to your ego, something like that, isn't it? Especially with the team that's just come up.
Oh yeah. And like I say,
and it's at home.
I think what's important for us, it's what Chandler said in the interview, isn't it? That we take the we take the energy from the cup performance, and we take it into this game, and and if we do that, then you got to say we'll go to Reading with more than a chance, don't we? I mean, come on.
And of course, Reading at the weekend did very nearly. Well, I say very nearly. The scoreline flatters Burnley. They lost 3-1 to Burnley, but it was extra time. So they will be coming off that as a high as well, because again, yes, it's a loss, but it was a fluky goal as well. Long range shot through the keeper's legs, but I don't know. I don't do match predictions, but if I did, I think our previous performance against them, albeit with a stronger team and at a time where we were, I think I'd go for a draw.
I can see we're getting a draw there. Do you think he's got a few? Do you think we'll see some? Do you think we'll see some coming in beforehand? What are we thinking about? What are we thinking about the transfer window?
So Charlie said that we would have, or they expected to have people in after Palace, but before Reading. So assuming that's the cadence that they're still going with, then yes. I've not heard anything more really in terms of rumours. I don't know. I've not heard new names. But it's been interesting over the last week or so. You start to watch the high profile recalls coming back. So Nathan Lowe, who was at Walsall, he's been recalled by Stoke. And he'd said originally, so he's a forward, he'd said that he wanted to stay at Walsall. Walsall, as we talked about briefly last week, are top of League Two by a decent margin, and he has been their Louis Barry in terms of the game changing. So he's been recalled back to Stoke, but prior to that, he was linked with Huddersfield, and he was crystal clear that he wanted to stay at Walsall. He wanted to see them get promotion. He had no interest in going anywhere else. Obviously, they don't always get a say in it. So he's been recalled by Stoke and was back today, I think. Played for Walsall on Saturday. Stefan Negru is another one to watch. So he, as a lifelong Salford fan, I'm familiar with his work. He's a right-footed defender who, in League Two, his stat so he's Oxford United player. So he's been recalled by Oxford United, and the suspicion is that if he goes back out on loan again, it will be to League One, because his stats in League Two for Salford were phenomenal. And this is Salford, who are third in League Two at the moment. Actually, I don't think there were many games, so I assume they still are. So he's another one, but just and I say that with no knowledge of him being linked with the club at all. Just the movement. No, I'm not.
Do we think we need to strengthen? I don't know about you. I always find it very difficult to have an objective view, because I get halfway through the season and I decide that I just really love the squad of players, and I can and when you can kind of see the development. Like, okay, Callum Camps is one I'd maybe pick out at the top of my head. Like, again, because there was a maybe a little bit of a debate. He was one of the players who was like maybe a little bit of a, will this player step up to this level? Like, there's an example of a player who you see almost on a weekly basis, just like kind of be grown into that shirt, and you have no worries about him, kind of leading the confrontation with a Premiership team. You know what I mean? You kind of see the players develop through the season. Well, on the one hand, it's like, okay, if we're strengthened, I'm sure that I'll be as excited as the next person if a player comes in with a great reputation. But also, like, there's something about seeing this club that's come, this team that's kind of embarked on this journey, and how can they, where can they take us?
I think it's interesting because you go through, I say you, like, the recruitment side of operations. You go into the recruitment window, and we talked about this last week, that they were coming back and saying we got all our top targets. We're really happy with how it's gone. They finished quite early, but they're recruiting for the league that they kind of expect to be playing in, and the positioning and the tactics that you want the manager to play with.
As in recruiting for the future, as in recruiting for the next
but you don't necessarily know. You can't predict that Birmingham are going to spend 15 million on a striker, and there's one for 3 million this week, wasn't there? So I think, and that correlates with what Charlie said last week, I think, about you start to see players hit their ceilings, and players that don't
use that phase.
and you can't know how a Fiorini or Sam Hughes obviously played for Burton. He hasn't necessarily clicked, maybe hasn't got the game time, maybe it's a confidence thing, who knows. And then I think it's commonly accepted that we need some bolstering at the front. So
because they're just going to get knackered, aren't they?
And then at the same time as well, if we accept that this is a consolidation year, and I know that there are very polarized opinions on this, if we accept that this is a consolidation year, then it's that you're doing almost pre-season between now and the end of the season, so that by the time you hit pre-season and strength and conditioning and all of that, you've got a team that you're really happy with, and there's less work to do in the summer. But that might just be wishful thinking, and obviously it doesn't apply if you're bolstering with loans, which talked about. So we talked about Macaulay Langstaff last week. Millwall are playing tonight, and he has not been named in the squad. I mean, let's be honest, it means nothing. He
No,
might
that's
be
it, isn't it?
injured. He might be
It's
going
like
to Wrexham. Like,
you could exactly. You could. I'm sure that if we started writing down the players who we are like strongly linked with by supposedly credible sources, you could name quite a team of players who we are not going to sign at all, who are not going
yeah,
to be Stockport County players on the 1st of February. Like I have to admit, I just like, and I think there's probably different people who look at who approach this in different ways. I just don't get involved in the whole transfer speculation thing because I'm like, well, there's a whole part of my brain that I haven't got spare to know who these people are. You know what I mean? Like when they arrive in Stockport County's colours, I'm like, okay, who's this guy? Louis Barry, right? Okay, fair enough.
so
You know,
that's how
but I appreciate that. That was, some people would call
yeah.
me a dilettante for this. It's like,
No,
really?
that's how everyone should be, and it's how I aspire to be, but I always still get dragged into it.
I'm massively impressed, honestly, by your diligence about the entire affair. I really am. So, okay. So we'll see some. We'll see some over the course of the time. Okay. Right.
Yeah, I think, when is it actually the 30 days past September, 31st? Because sometimes the transfer window closes on weird days, like the 2nd of February and things like that. So Ian Dowden will know.
Ian Dowden will know.
When does the transfer window actually close? Because I love Ian Dowden says, I love the transfer window. I thought he was going to say, I love that it ends on the 2nd of February. But no, we always do like transfer deadline day, lower league look show, like you used to have. We were trying to recreate years ago when you'd sit watching Sky Sports News and they'd be, filming lights on in restaurants.
This is it. This is what if I was going to pick something out about the transfer window, that's I think it either needs to be brought back or it's just a fantastic thing. It's all this. It's the sightings, isn't it? It's the sightings.
Yeah.
Like such a, and it was always like in Newcastle. It was always the Gosforth Park Hotel. Such and such a player. John Robertson has been spotted in the Gosforth Park Hotel. So we'll. I don't know what our equivalent is of that. I don't know which kind of.
I normally just say
would take respective signings to.
I normally say I've seen someone in Greg's on Castle Street. Just the lols.
Yeah. Morrison's got a meal deal in Morrison's Chiel. He's just on the way up to a prospective meeting. We've seen Macaulay Longstaff in a BMW. That kind of thing. So I like the rumors in that way, just kind of where the meetings are. So. Well, it's going to be a busy January, isn't it? I mean, we're on the pitch a lot.
And we've got Reading, we've got Crawley, we've got Shrewsbury. All go. Crawley's always, I don't necessarily enjoy playing Crawley because I think we never, for whatever reason, we don't necessarily show up against them. But if there was the time to, it would be a week on Saturday, please, because they're not doing well.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think. Crawley are one of these teams who I always just expect us to beat Crawley because I haven't got used to the big league club, even though they've probably been in the league like 15 years at this point. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we need to cover? What was lovely yesterday was the memorial on the 14th minute for Ben Horner, who was the little boy from Edgeley that died on Saturday, I think. And Steve Bellis had said this morning that he just kind of mentioned it in passing and they asked for a photo. And I thought it was really well done to put it up on the screen. So it meant the home fans could kind of mark it as well, which they did. The Crystal Palace goalkeeper clapped throughout it. Our bench clapped. It was just it was really well done, because sometimes there are, you know, there are those periods of applause that commemorate someone and you don't necessarily know what it's for or who it's for. And I thought it was a really elevated way of doing it, but equally so simple in terms of changing the
You know what?
graphics.
That's nice, isn't it? Just kind of just with that simple kind of acknowledgement, stroke advice of it. And again, I keep saying it on the radio, but you could completely hear, even though there was like maybe even like goal mouth action going on, it was like 60 seconds on 14 minutes.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, I said earlier on, I might develop a soft spot for Palace. You say, I might, you know, if you know, it's. I know you're not going to, Anna, but you know, I might for a little bit of one.
But you know what? One of the things that Steve said in his Facebook post earlier was that what Palace have evolved into is the type of club that has still retained its community and its you know, it's smaller, and you know, it still has a heart, which, you know, evaporates for lots of clubs.
You know what? Like, actually, if we are going to get as far as the not so secret, you know, maybe objective of having a little pop at that top level, then actually could Palace be a little bit of the if we get to be like Palace in the Premiership, like God, we're in the Premiership, we've got international footballers, we're going toe to toe with people, but also we retain our identity, whatever mix of intentional and just organic stuff that achieves that. Would be a fantastic thing, wouldn't it? Am I talking you down the soft spot for Palace yet?
No, I mean, the only soft spot we will locate Palace is that I sat there and I was like, I'm at the home of Richmond Rovers, and I imagined, and then the Greyhounds.
The junior Stockport football team.
No, Ted Lasso. So
I am so my cultural references are so.
Selhurst Park is the home of Richmond Rovers, and it made me laugh because they the Vitality dog that we have at Edgeley Park, they have that as well. Whereas in Ted Lasso, the dog is I don't know, it won't be a spoiler. It's not a massive spoiler. The dog is killed by an errant football when it goes running around the pitch.
Oh my God.
It made me giggle a little bit.
That's marvelous. I'm the only football fan. I'm the only football fan in the country that's not seen Ted Lasso.
Will. I don't know if Nick has. I love it. It just makes. I watched the first series in lockdown, and it was before it had kind of gained much momentum, and it's just like a hug. It's lovely, and I've watched it many times, and I can't recommend it enough for just about football and community, and it's funny and it's hot. Yeah, I absolutely adore it.
I'll watch Ted Lasso if you can consider it very slight, even just smidgen of a of affection for our Crystal Palace. No, you don't have to. I'll watch it. I will. I'm going to watch it. I've come on here as some kind of Crystal Palace advocate. Yeah.
Right. Well, all that remains, I think. I was going to say, all that remains is to say, Nick will be like, I'm surprised I've not got text say, don't forget to say like and subscribe.
You must trust us with this stuff, Hannah. Well, it's obviously trust you, but like we haven't got any text that I know about from Nick, so we don't seem to have mixed anything in particular. What do we need to make some Palace announcements? We've said about like and subscribe.
No, I think that's it.
Well, there's that. I tell you what, there's one for Saturday. The away day show's back.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm driving as well on Sunday, so I can't. I need to plan my my return.
It should have been back at the last weekend, for the massive cup game that we just played. But to be quite frank with you, Hannah, and the support, I just struggled too much to adapt myself to real life after Christmas, to the extent that my mental equilibrium was suffering. I was like, I can't do this. I just gotta, because the encyclopedic look into the away town, it doesn't do itself. You know what I mean? And I know that I get great help from people like Ian Dowden with the Chinese takeaway suggestion every week, etc. But so it's a labour of love. But because of labour of love, I want to do it properly. So the away day show's back for hopefully every away game between now and the end of the season start with them.
Well, we shall be
And they'll
tuning in on
Yes,
our
music.
journey down the M6, M40, M42. Not in that order, maybe. No, in that order.
So you're going down, yes?
Yeah, we're going down. Cam and Nigel are enjoying my driving. So that's something for them to look forward to. I don't think either of them have experienced it before. So they've got 4 hours of
the right order. Yeah,
they'll be fine. I'll amend the playlist because it's normally quite Taylor Swift heavy, and I'm not entirely sure they'd be up for that. So
fantastic. Oh, well.
Accommodations will be made. Right. Well, thank you for joining me, and I'm sure that we'll have Nick back to normal post Reading, pre Crawley, post the big game tomorrow, obviously.
Yeah, let's not forget Warrington for anybody who's going. Okay. Right, nice one, Hannah. Nice one. To our County Nation. See you all soon.
Bye.